Hey everyone, this is Oscar from Underdog, and today we're going to do a little sound design tutorial to recreate this effect lead from SNTS's track Disappearance of Fate. Let's listen to it. That little electrical buzzing sound, that's what we're going for. So let's hop into Ableton and see how you'd get there. Before we go any further, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and maybe sign up for one of our classes on underdog.brussels, or come say hi in the Discord channel. Underdog is not just a YouTube channel, it's also an electronic music school based in Brussels and online, so come check out on the website what we can do for you. Okay, so we're in Ableton, and we break this sound down into a couple of its essential elements. So if you think about like subtractive synthesis as a paradigm, there's always three steps. There's the sound source, then there's the filter shaping, and then there's the amplifier shaping. And between those three, we can already get quite far. So the source sound, what are our options? Well, it's either like an oscillator waveform like a sawtooth wave or a square wave, or something like white noise. In this case, white noise would give us too much a sound like wind, and we want something harsh and buzzing. So we're going to go for the most harsh and buzzing sounding waveform, which is the sawtooth wave. And to create that, we just load up an instance of Wavetable right here, quite simply, and we move to the sawtooth wave. So that's going to give us something like the following. Now that sounds very much like a static note and doesn't quite have that buzzing character that we're looking for. However, the very uppermost frequencies of it kind of do have that kind of buzzing static sound that maybe we're looking for. So here's the trick with this one. We play this down a few octaves. So we shift down an octave, shift down an octave again. Hear the upper buzzing frequencies up there? We're getting close. Let's go down one more octave. Okay, we're very close. That's too far. Okay, let's start with that one. Now, what we do is, now that we've got a sound that's this low, we're going to use only the highest most frequencies of it. And to do that, we're going to use a bandpass filter. A lot of synthesizers will invite you to use the low-pass filter as a default because it's very good for a lot of different sound design. However, the bandpass filter is perfect for this application. So in Wavetable, this is where you select your filter shape, bandpass filter. And so we'll keep only the highest frequencies. Listen to this. That's not bad, right? And now if we want it to be a bit more exaggerated and a bit more aggressive, on Ableton's filters, there's two things that I would recommend doing. First of all, crank the resonance up a bit. So that's what this sounds like. Gives an even more buzzing character to the sound. And then instead of a clean filter, you can also select one of the filters that gives you the option to drive the sound into the filter. This, whenever Ableton gives you one of these little drive menus, it means that you can turn up the volume of the signal before it hits the filter, which actually in a way causes the filter to malfunction a little bit. It makes the filter not be transparent, and it causes the filter to color the sound quite a bit. And in many cases, that's exactly what you want. So let's listen to it with the drive a bit cranked. It's more angry. So then when we move the frequency around, we're getting there. So in this case, what we're really looking for is really these upper frequencies. So we don't even want to come down to like below 5,000 hertz. We just want to stay up here. So maybe what we want to do is we want to actually set up a macro that gives us more granular control over this parameter. So let's group this to an instrument rack and open up our macros and then map this to a macro. So we just call this the cutoff. So now whenever you move this thing here, you can see on the right, you can see that the filter cutoff is actually moving as well. And so the minimum is the minimum and the maximum is the maximum, but we don't have to leave the macro like that. We can change on the macro like this, what the minimum and the maximum is. So if we set the minimum to being 5,000 hertz and the maximum to be 20,000 hertz, that means that we can now sweep between 5,000 and 20,000 like this. I don't even want to come down to 5,000. Let's really put it at 8,000. Great, that's a very electrical sound right there. Now we would add some reverb like in the original as well. On the reverb, what are some of the main features? Well, first of all, we don't want to cut any of the highs. We want those highs to come through. And we want to cut out all the lows. So really scoop out all the lows. Let's see what this sounds like. Yeah, that gives it that kind of cold industrial feeling. Perfect. Now, another thing that I would recommend doing to get close to that SNTS sound is to build in a little bit of movement into this sound. So how would you do that? Well, first of all, whenever you're talking about movement, usually you're talking about an LFO. So let's map an LFO also to this frequency cutoff. So LFO 1, let's map it to the cutoff. Let's use the matrix. So LFO 1 will modulate the filter frequency. And let's set it up to a lot. Yeah, so once a second it's going up and down. So there's two things we want to do. First of all, I want to turn off retrigger. First of all, we're going to increase the speed and reduce the amount. Reduce the amount quite a lot. See that? Now this sound has a bunch of movement, and we can move the amount from 0 to whatever we think is appropriate. So this we can map to a macro and we can call it movement. And so give it another nice color. And so then with the rate, maybe we can map it to another one and call it movement speed and give that another nice color. That's not a nice color. That's also not a nice color. Okay, that's a nice color. There we go. So here we go. So now these three parameters between them can already give a lot of expressive control to this sound. And this is something that you can now map to, for instance, a MIDI controller, and you can hit record and record yourself changing these parameters over time. All you would probably do is program yourself one long MIDI note. So I'm at C0 for that ultra low frequency. By the way, one of the reasons why you need to play the octave this low is something I went into in another video, which is if you're playing a sound that has a fundamental frequency at 50 hertz, every one of its harmonics in a sawtooth wave is going to be 50 hertz apart, all the way up until the absolute top of the frequency spectrum. However, if your fundamental frequency is at 1000 hertz, all the harmonics are going to be 1000 hertz apart. So that's going to be a lot more sparse. And that means that if you play up too high of a note, listen, it's going to sound more like a sawtooth wave. It sounds like a real pitched tonal buzzing sound, whereas when you go down low, it sounds more like an electrical sound. Okay, that's close enough. Now, for the rest, you're going to have to just fit it into your track. With the amplifier envelope, for instance, you may want to set a long release time. You may want to bring it in and out using other filters later on. But this is the core of the sound. I'll put a link to this effect track in the description below in case you just want to absolutely copy it. But as you can see, the principles are pretty easy to mimic. If you found this helpful, leave a comment below. If you'd like to see me do any other sound design tutorials, let me know which sounds you'd like me to copy. Consider signing up for a one-on-one coaching with me in the link below as well. In the meantime, stay safe, be good to each other, and stay producing. Bye-bye.